Okay, so we're going to go over Junebug's commands and show you how you can stay consistent with her once she goes home. So first is her prong collar. It's going to sit on Junebug's neck like this. If you need to correct her, you're going to say no, give her a quick pop and release and remind her what she's supposed to be doing. To get this on and off of her, I usually take my finger and push the prongs up and then use this finger to push this prong down. Then I pinch the two together, pull them apart. Then to get this back together to go around her neck, you put one side in, pinch them together, and slide that in once the second one is in. So that's how the prong collar goes on and off. For the remote collar, to turn the collar on, there's a red key on the remote, and there's another red dot key on the collar. You're going to tap these two together for just a second, and it's going to flash that green light. That means that the collar is now turned on. To turn the remote on, there's that black L button in the center. You're going to press and hold that until your screen lights up. Now both the remote and the collar are on. If Junebug were to need a correction and you wanted to use the remote collar to correct her, you're going to press this black L button on the side. And you're going to say no, press the button, and then remind her what she's supposed to be doing. So same as the prong, no, pop and release, reminder. You're going to say no, button, reminder what she's supposed to be doing. So those are her collars. Quickly how to correct her for those. So her first command is heel. This is loose leash walking on the left hand side. You want Junebug's head right next to your leg, right next to you in that heel position. If she were to get too far ahead of you or walk to the side too far, anything like that, you're going to say no and correct her and then remind her heel. So you want her right there next to you. You can reward her. When you reward her, you want to reward her right next to your leg, or you can reward her with a pet on the head or good girl, good job. And that way she stays interested, and that helps her focus a little bit just with those reminders and rewards. So that is heel or loose leash walking on your left hand side. You want to be sure to have a nice relaxed arm and a nice relaxed leash. That way there's no tension on the collars and she's not getting corrected for being right there in your space. So that is heel. Her next command is a sit stay. So you want June to sit, so you'll ask her to sit. If not, you'll say no, correct her, and have her sit again. Then once she's sitting, to get her to stay, you're just going to remind her to sit before you walk away or before a big distraction happens. So if she's sitting, you want to go put your shoes on before you take her for a walk. You'll remind her sit before you walk away. Then you'll go get your shoes on or your jacket, something like that. And you're going to go back to June. Good girl, good job. You can reward her, and then you're going to release her either into a free or into a heel, whatever you wanted her to do next. So again, we don't say stay, we just remind her sit before we walk away. So that is sit stay. Her next command is down stay, same as the sit stay. You're just going to remind her down, which is the command she's already in. So you'll ask her to go into a down. Sometimes she may sit first, or sometimes she goes right into that down. Whichever is fine. If she needs to sit first and then lay down, that's okay. So you'll ask her to lay down by saying down. Then once she's down, you'll reward her close to the ground. That way her nose stays on the ground and she stays in that down. Then if you wanted to, again, walk away to go put your shoes on or grab a jacket or do anything before your walk or before you did anything else, you would just remind her down before walking away. That helps her remember what she's doing and helps her know that she's supposed to stay in that down. So she stays in that down until you release her, you walk away, you come back to her to release her and reward her. So good girl, good down, reward her with those treats, then you can release her into a free or heel, whatever you wanted her to do next. So that is down stay. Her next command is place stay. So this is a stay on an elevated boundary now, like the beds that I sent the pictures of her on. So this is place stay. You'll send her to place or walk her to place. We reward place on the bed. That way June thinks that the treats came from the bed and she's more likely to stay on the bed or want to go on the bed on her own. So that is place. You'll say place. She'll go to place, or you'll walk her to place. Then if you wanted to walk away from her, you want to watch a movie or cook dinner and have her stay on there, you would remind her place before you went to do that, or before you sat on the couch to watch your movie, something like that. So you would remind her place before you did that. Then we always want to be sure, especially for this one, to go back to June to reward and release her. That helps her stay on the bed and helps her not have to guess at what you're going to do next or when you're going to let her off. So you'll go all the way back to her. You can reward her on the bed or good girl, good job. Then you're going to release her by saying free or heel, again, whatever you want her to do next. So that is play, stay on an elevated boundary. Her next command is come when called or recall. So Junebug is out sniffing in the yard, running around, getting that exercise for the day, and you're ready for her to come back to you. You're going to say come. I usually take a few steps backwards. That way June knows that she's welcome in my space and she doesn't feel like she's getting chased. So you'll say come, take a few steps backwards. If she starts running towards you, good girl, good job. You can praise her on her way back. That helps her stay focused in and make sure that she comes all the way back to you. When she's back to you, she sits, and then you can reward her with praise, petting, and treats. This is the one especially that we always want to be sure to reward. That way, if it were an emergency situation where she's running towards the road and you can see a car coming, you can say come, and she knows to immediately come back to you because she's going to get rewarded for that. So that is come when called. Again, she's out sniffing in the yard. You say come, take a few steps back, praise her as she's coming back towards you, and reward her as soon as she's back to you and sitting. Then she's supposed to stay sitting there until you release her by saying free or heel, again, whatever you want her to do next. So that is come when called. Her last command is leave it. This is if you drop something on the ground and you don't want June to have it, you can say leave it and then have time to pick that up. For this one, you always want to practice this with dog safe foods first. That way, if she were to accidentally get it or you weren't able to correct her in time, it would be okay for her to have. So practice this with her food, hot dogs, treats, chicken, things like that that June can have just in case you were to get it. So you'll drop something on the ground, you'll say leave it. The first couple times you want to practice this with a leash on, that way you can correct her, or you can correct her with the remote collar if she were to go after it. But if you say leave it and she looks at you or sits down or doesn't go get it, you can reward her from your hand for leaving that alone. Then you can either say okay and let her have it, or she can stay sitting and eating that treat that you just gave her, and that'll give you time to pick up whatever was on the ground. Again, you want to practice this with dog safe foods first. That way, if it were to be an emergency situation like medicine, a pill, or anything kind of drink or liquid that she's not supposed to have, you can say leave it, and she knows I'm not supposed to have that. Mom's going to give me a treat from her hand, or mom's going to do something that's going to not let me have that. So that is leave it. Again, dog safe foods first. That way she's prepared for if it were going to be an emergency situation or a situation where it were a pill on the ground. So that is leave it. Those are her commands, and this is the remote collar. Again, we'll go over that quickly. If you need to correct June, is going to be sitting on her neck. And if she were to get off place, you're going to say no, press the black S button, place. If she weren't to come back to you when you said come, you're going to say no, press the button, come. That's going to help her communicate with her that she did an unwanted behavior and she needs to remember what you asked her to do. So those are how to correct her, and those are her commands. Then we'll go more in depth about the remote collar towards the end of the video, but for now, we're going to show you her commands.
Good girl. Good deal. April cedar cattle up $1.27.5 at 161.07. April lean hogs down 85 cents at 105.37. June lean hogs down 47.5 at 116.22. The dollar still higher, up 18 points. Crude oil is now trading up $6.53 a barrel at 110.01. Dow Jones up 188. If you were asked, what's the most important thing your car does? You might say, the most important thing your car does is stop. Tires Plus offers complete brake service for all domestic and foreign vehicles. The brake service is essential for the safety of those inside and outside your vehicle. Tires Plus, Prospect and Market View, Champaign. Tires Plus Auto Care.
Down. Good girl. Good down. Down. Good down. Down. Good down. Down. Good down. Good down. Good girl. Good down. Free.
Leave it. Good. Okay. Leave it. Yes. Okay. Free. Okay. Do one more. Do one more. Leave it. Yes. Okay. Right here. Good girl, Junie. Good job. Place. Good girl. Good place. Girl. Place. job, June. Place. Free. Good girl. Good job.
Okay, so now that we've shown you and gone over Junebug's commands, we're going to go over the remote collar more in depth. So these are both turned on, but to turn them off, we're going to press that red key and this red key together for a second, and it's going to flash that red light. Now the collar is off. To turn the remote off, this black L button in the center, you're going to press and hold that button again until your screen goes off. Now these are both off. We're going to turn them back on really quick. Red key, tap them together really quick, green light. That's going to flash green every couple seconds now to show you that the collar is on and charged. If it flashes red or yellow, that just means that the collar needs to put on the charger. To turn the remote on, there's that black L button in the center. You're going to press and hold that until your screen lights up. Now your screen lit up and it shows you the number 15. That is Junebug's correction level. So if you press the black S button to correct her, that's going to be her level at 15. Under that black S button is the red S button. This is what we call the booster emergency feature. So if June were to run towards the road and there were a car coming and you said come, and she just was too distracted by that car or too distracted by something else, you're going to say no and you're going to press this red S button until you get her attention. That takes Junebug's level from 15 to 31. So again, this is the emergency feature, the boost feature. I have not had to use this for Junebug at all, so that should get her attention pretty quickly. You're going to say no, press the button until you get her attention, and then you can go back to using the black S button for correction. But the red S button is what you would use for emergency situations like that. On the other side of the remote, there is a black T button. If I press that, that vibrates the collar. I've also not used this on Junebug, but later in the future, once she's good for you and is listening really well, you can use the black T button or vibrate feature as a warning. So if she does something and it doesn't really warrant a full correction, you can use the vibrate feature, and then if that stops it, perfect. If not, you can go ahead and use the regular correction level. But her normal level is at 15 right now. If you needed to change that because you get to a location where there's a lot more distractions and she just isn't paying attention and she needs a little bit higher of a correction, you're going to press and hold this little dial. And that allows me to change this now. So she's at 15. And if you take her to a ball game and she's way distracted by people or the ball, anything like that, maybe you'll need to take her up to 20. Or you get her home and there's not a lot of distractions and 15 seems like too much, maybe turn her down to 10. So that's how you would change that. Her level is at 15 right now though. So I'm going to take it back to 15 and then I'm going to lock this in place. So I'm going to press and hold this dial, maybe. Press and hold this dial. Until the 15 flashes, and that's locked in on 15. You could see there how easy it was changing the levels. That's why we want to make sure that this is locked, to make sure we don't accidentally hit June with a higher level or a lower level than she deserves. So it's at 15. Press and hold that until the 15 flashed, and now it's back locked in place. On the back of this button is that large L button that we use to turn the remote on and off. If I just press that button though, that's going to turn on the flashlight feature. So if you let June out at night and you want to be able to see her better, you can keep the flashlight turned on. But again, that's just tapping it. And then tap it again to turn it off. And if you press and hold that L button, that's going to turn the remote collar on and off. Next to that button is a small M/C button. You can see on the front of this remote, it says M. That means that Junebug is at momentary right now. If you pressed and hold that, it would change it to continuous or both momentary and continuous. Junebug is at momentary right now and she shouldn't need to be changed back to continuous, so you should not need to use that button at all. So again, black S button is her correction, the red S button is her booster emergency feature, T button, vibrate feature. This dial is locked in place. right now, but if you needed to change that, you would press and hold it down till that light flash, or till that number flashes. Then on the back, that L button, tap it for the flashlight feature, press and hold to turn the remote on and off. Next to that is that M/C button that you shouldn't need to press. Then on the collar, there's the charging port, and there's these prongs that make contact with her skin. Her hair is short enough that she shouldn't need longer prongs, but there's longer prongs in the box just in case. And then there's the light that flashes the flashlight if you need it, and it flashes green to show you that the collar is on and charged. If it flashes yellow or red, that just means it needs plugged in. And then on the collar right here, we have the bungee strap. If she grows a little bit and you need to change that, or it's too small for her, you can always undo this loop and make it a little bit looser, and then once you've got it fit to her again, you can go back to using the bungee. Then in this box, we have the original strap that the collar came on. That is just one of these straps, so it doesn't have the bungee on it for that quick release. Then we've got a few extra prongs just in case June grows at all and you need to put an extra link in that prong collar. And then we've got the charger in here. And we've got those longer prongs, and then the tool that you would use to change those prongs out. Again, I don't think she'll need them, but we have them in here for you just in case. Then under all of that is the instruction manual. This is just if you want to read more in depth about the collar or anything like that, you go ahead and read that. Then on the back of this box, there's a number and an email to contact. We send the collars home with a 2-year warranty, so you just contact them. So you got the collar from us and you'd like the 2-year warranty. This collar is waterproof, so if you want to take Junebug swimming or in the water, the rain, the snow, anything like that, she can be wearing it. Just make sure that the charging port on both the collar and the remote are closed all the way. It's waterproof, and she can wear it about 10 to 12 hours a day. If she were to go swimming, you would want to make sure to take it off and dry her really well, because those those prongs making contact with her skin could get bacteria underneath them and cause little sores, just if her skin gets wet like that. So if you take her in the water, make sure to take it off of her, dry her off really well, maybe wait a few hours to make sure she's super dry, and then you can put it back on. But she can wear the collar for 10 to 12 hours a day and then take it off of her at night. If you leave it on for 10 to 12 hours a day, it should stay charged about 2 days before needing plugged back in again. So those are the features of the remote collar and what's in the box. For the prong collar again, she may need those extra links if she grows any. You do the same as if you were putting it on and off of her. Push them up, pinch them and pull them apart. Then you're going to put one side in, pinch them together, and slide the other one in. If you just put one side in and then put this one up here and try and slide it in, it won't go. So you have to make sure to pinch it and slide it back in. It's going to be a little difficult the first couple times and the first little bit that Jen's wearing this one, because it's a new collar and that metal's still super tight, but over time it'll get easier to use. So those are her commands, and those are her collars and remote, and that is what you'll use to correct her. You want to be sure to be firm with her corrections. That way she understands that that was an unwanted behavior and she's not supposed to be doing that. But you also want to be sure to have fun with her and stay consistent with her, and be sure to reward her when she does a good job. She's listening to you and doing her commands just like we go to work. So we want to be sure to pay her for listening to those commands, just like, again, we go to work to get paid. She's listening to those commands and obeying because that's her job now. So we want to be sure to pay her for that. Praise, petting, treats, things like that that she gets excited about. So you want to be sure to, again, be firm with her corrections, but also make sure that you're paying her for the job that she's doing and rewarding her. So make sure to have fun with her and stay consistent.